Okay, good morning. I'd like to call the Committee of the Whole meeting to order. We'll do the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge Athabasca County is located on First Nations Treaty 6 and Treaty 8 traditional territory. We respect and honor all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples' connection to these lands, their history, language, and culture. So we have before the approval of the agenda, we have Councillor Hall joining us by Zoom and nothing from Councillor Kaptaniuk. So go ahead, Councillor Townsend.
If there's no amendments or anything to the agenda, I'm willing to approve.
Okay, I'll for there's a couple of changes with the delegation presentations. The Aspen View schools are gonna be here at 10. Portage College is possibly here at 10:30 by Zoom, possibly. Excuse me. And Northern Lights will be here at 11 a.m. So that's the changes that I know of so far. So is there anybody that has anything else they want to? Seeing none. Councillor Chamzik has made the motion to approve the agenda as amended with the times. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 8-0. So the delegations will come in at 10 o'clock. So we'll move to number 5, roundtable discussions, CAO update. Oh, approval of the minutes. Oh, sorry about that. I guess we got to approve the minutes from the last meeting. There we are. Councillor Daholic, you're approving the minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Sorry about that, 8-0. So now we'll move to 5.1, page 40 of your agenda. The update from the CAO. Any discussion or questions to the CAO? Go ahead, Councillor Chamzik.
Just curious on the last bullet point on meetings, is there something moving towards our economic development officer as well? Under your report, Mr. CAO.
And what's the question exactly?
Is there a possible project coming or something like that?
I don't know. I've just nothing significant. Just meeting some local business owners that I didn't know before.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Grieve Holland.
So you're just saying it was a meet and greet type scenario? Because I guess we weren't aware of it. So we're just curious about what it was for and if it was just a meet and greet scenario.
Yeah, it was at the request of Councillor Hall. So maybe Councillor Hall feels like weighing in.
For sure. If we could get a bit more information on that, so all council can be aware. I didn't realize we could do that type of thing. So yeah, if we could get some more information on that, that'd be great. Please, Councillor Hall.
Some business owners asked to meet with our CIO, and I facilitated that meeting.
Are we able to understand what that's all about, I guess? Do we need to go into close to have that conversation, or usually things like this go through council beforehand when we have to ask for administration to attend these things, as you know, that's usually the protocol. So is this something we need to go into closed?
There's nothing to say. It was some folks who do business in town wanted to meet with the CIO so that they had the CIO had another community point of contact, and there's not a lot to say.
Well, I guess if we need to know who the
And
business
I didn't
owners.
know that I needed your permission to invite the CIO out for lunch, and I will keep that in mind for the future.
Well, generally, we all keep, the protocol is to keep council apprised. So if we need to go to find out who the business owners are, do we need to go into closed? Or are you going to be able to tell us who they are? I guess we need to do a motion to go into closed.
So we got a motion to go into closed.
Yes.
So Reeve Holland has made a motion to go into closed. All in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
That's 7-1. Okay, so we're back out of closed and getting back up to the update from the CAO. Any other questions regarding the report in front of us? We'll be, I guess myself, I'm just wondering, we'll be discussing the water line later. Probably with the infrastructure director and stuff like that. And that, okay,
Yep, there's an update in there.
yeah,
Yep.
okay, perfect. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Ambly. Thank you very much for your report. So, any questions? Counselor Chamzak.
Good morning. Morning. I just want to say for under communications, I've heard wonderful feedback about the newsletter. And I just had a question under recruitment, under human resources. Would the fire services technician bylaw or fire smart coordinator eventually be able to do fire permits as well? It was just a thought that came through my head. Yes.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, potentially. I don't think we've looked into that quite yet.
Yeah, well, until it happens, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And then one last question, I'm 99% sure I'm correct, but the ERP software is accounting software, correct?
Yes, it is. It's the
Oh.
business financial software.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you so very much.
Okay, anybody? Counselor Hall.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that while the newsletter was nice to see, it's disappointing to see such a significant portion of it go out with blank white space. I'm sure there were some county programs or that we could have advertised in that space. I think it's a lost opportunity to mail white paper out. And so hopefully in the future we can figure out something to go in there, whether it's the grants program or upcoming anything that it seems like a lost opportunity to mail white paper.
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman and members of the committee, the blank space was actually intentional. The original intent was to fold the 11 by 17 in half, and then we would put the addresses on there through a mail merge. Unfortunately, Canada Post didn't allow us to do that. So that's why by the time it went to print and it was printed already, that's when we were told that Canada Post wouldn't allow that. So that's why it ended up going tri-fold into an envelope. In the future, we will be using that white space.
Perfect, perfect. I'll just chime in there regarding that. I got lots of people, they reached out, and as I ran into them, they said that it was a great bit of information to get. One thing that came to light, and I think it came to myself and Counselor Chamzak, was I guess in the town and the village newsletter and stuff like that, they add in some of the waste commission information, mostly and I think Jordan knows about that now, eh? So they were wondering if we could add that on there, like the dates and when they're open and when they're closed on each different transfer station and stuff like that, just to give out information. And they said it really helps in that end, eh? So if we could, but I think Jordan's already looked at doing that. So thank you very much for that. But it got people really liked the way that that was designed and sent out. So great job. The only other one I got is page 43 under local government fiscal framework, LGFF. 3 bullets down, Cape sealing in various locations. Is there a chance we can change that name? From Cape sealing to
Yes,
hard surfacing or?
yes,
Perfect.
thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Pet peeve there. So other than that, I think everything else looks good. Anybody else got any more information or asking any questions? Seeing none, we thank you very much. We'll move on to the financial department update with Mr. Daly. And anybody have any questions? Mr. Daly. Counselor Stasiak.
Just a quick question. I see the feasibility study for Hamlet of Rochester and area. Can you tell me a little bit about that? That was actually initiated before our time here. And just to bring me up to speed on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. That predated Mr. Daly's coming to the county. And that was presented to council. We can certainly send a copy of it to everyone. It outlined what it would cost to run a water line versus do a water treatment plant in Rochester. So we'll send a copy of that. There was two. There was one for Caslin and there was one for Rochester. We'll make sure all of council gets copies of those.
And so is that concluded now? Like after the feasibility came in, the information that was there, does that get presented to council or does it get left there on the table?
Yeah, I'll have to go back through the minutes to find out. I don't think council gave us any direction on
Okay.
to do anything further. I think I highlighted that to council before that the water commission then went away and indicated their number 3 priorities for the region were Caslin.
Yeah.
Secondly, Calling Lake, and then thirdly, the Cornwall Reservoir bypass. So they didn't really mention anything about Rochester. So I don't think our council has ever said what their priorities were. And so it's a new council. You're allowed to establish your own new priorities.
Is it possible for me to speak on all of their behalf in this one? Thank you for your information.
Right on. Counselor Hall.
2 questions. I think also relevant, and Councillor Mins, you're in the meeting at the Water Commission. One of the things coming out of the last discussion was, I think, the Commission's recognition that their primary role is to be a low-cost provider of water at the gate for 3 customers, and that really the Commission wouldn't be, my sense from that discussion is the Commission's not going to be out seeking to run pipelines. That is really the purview of the 3 partners. So if the county has priorities that we want to fund and we want to decide what they are, we can come up with a plan and seek the water supply from the Commission. The question that I had on page 46 of the agenda, there's accounts receivable listed at the bottom, and I'm just wondering if Director Daly can walk us through the math, because it didn't make sense to me. On December 31st, we had in the less than 30-day category 129,000 of outstanding receivables and 28,000 in the 30 to 60 days. And then presumably 1 month later, all of those items are 30 or 31 days older. I'm just unclear how we go from 129 outstanding on December 31 in the under 30 days to 221 outstanding in the 30 to 60 days, one time period later.
Looking at this, through the chair, members of council, looking at this without having the detail in front of me, what would most likely be would be in the month billing went out, and then during January we would be doing all of our invoicing. So when you look at the end of the month, like the current that would have been added on, those probably wouldn't be paid at the beginning of January, and then you would have all those plus the current one. So all those would pop up. The 129 would pop up in the next category, the 31 to 60, and then any current ones for January plus any new ones that would come in would be what I would imagine. But I mean, I can confirm exact details and send it out to council why, but that's
It's just that it doesn't make sense that something that was billed, say January 1st or 2nd, can't be now over 30 days. As of January 31st, right? It can't be more than 30 days because there's only 31 days in January. So anything billed in the month still should be current at month end. Anyway, it's a control question that I'm just wanting to understand if we, what our controls are like. If it jumps by 100 grand over the course of a month, it doesn't seem reasonable, and I would look forward to your follow-up.
Through the chair, I do have all the receivables which we are going through now for the say outstanding and whatnot. So when I go through them, I will have a better sense of what this is, and then I can send an email to all the committee members just explaining that a little bit more detail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Reeve Holland.
Thank you very much. Once again, and thank you, Director Ambley, as well. These reports are so valuable, and I really appreciate the work that goes into them. On page 44, it mentions, of course, our budget, finance reporting and the operating budget. We had made some amendments. Is it possible to obtain, and I love those little books that we've received. Those are fantastic as well, but can we obtain the amended pages of what we amended here last meeting, just so that we can kind of slip them into our book? If at all possible, please.
Through the chair, yes, we can certainly send out the new pages where they would be inserted in the document. We can even do a new document, or probably wait till at the committee's discretion. We can wait to do the full document, but any pages that's affected by the last meeting, we will send those out so you can pop them into that book that you just received a couple weeks
That's
ago.
fantastic.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I notice you also have your year-end accruals and reconciliations and all that kind of thing. Just want to make sure that for the end of December, do we have everybody's time and expense claims I don't believe are in, so that creates more adjustments that need to be made, if I'm not mistaken. I think we might be shy on that. Just wanted to double check.
Through the chair, we do have a folder. So we have our regular accounts payable, which goes to the module, and then anything else we're keeping a folder for anything that comes in related to 2025.
Okay.
And I'm kind of waiting until the last minute before I accrue those, because they come in. So any council timesheets or expense claims that comes in related to 25, they will be accrued. But from what I've seen, I think we are getting, or we might have most of them. There may be a couple more that we don't have, but they will be accrued back into 25. And right now, looking at the accruals, we don't have it's not a high number. So it's but yeah, those will be made prior to the auditors coming, because we may get one or two invoices every other day that's related to 25. And if I change the GL every single day, it's just going to be
A nightmare.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. So yeah, just a reminder for council to please get all your stuff in so we can stay up to date on that kind of stuff. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was all I had for questions. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Oh, actually, I lied.
Oh, okay.
I lied. Page 46, the accounts receivable utilities chart. There's like -18 and a -40 in the January 31st, 2026 balance. And I didn't understand what that meant.
So that will be resolved if we did if we reversed out an invoice or did a credit invoice, it would go in there. There was nothing posted, it would move up, it would go in there as a credit. So that's why you would see a negative in one of those categories.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Daly. Looks like our delegation is here. So what we're going to do is just break for a minute while we invite them in. And no, not yet, because we still have the infrastructure Yeah. Yeah, we don't really even approve this. We just accept it as information and move it along, eh?
Because there's no action items, there's no motion required. Whoa, that's your call. Yes.
Okay, we'll fire back up here on the meeting there. We have a delegation, Aspen View Schools, which is very nice to see. It's awesome you guys can make it here. And we'll go around and introduce ourselves and starting with my right.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you again for being here today. I'm Tracy Holland, Counselor for Division 5, which is east of Athabasca, as well as Reid for the county.
Good morning, Ken Stasiak. I'm your best friend in Division 1.
Good morning, Cody Callahoo, Counselor of Division 9, which is north of the river.
Now we'll jump to
Kelly Chanzik, Division 7, Grassland, Atmore, Prospita areas.
Good morning, Lucille Chisholm, Division 3, so the Boyle, Elscott, Caslin area. Good morning.
Oh, Jack.
Good morning, Jack DeHolick. Welcome. Division 6, Alpec Wandering River area.
And then I'll jump in here. Good morning, Rob Mins, Division 8, Baptiste Lake, Island Lake area. And I'll go with our communications coordinator, Jordan Schinkelberg, our recording secretary, Tammy Plerd, and our CAO, Mr. Bob Beck. And when we're discussing here, we'll ask you to use your to hit the mic. And is Councillor Hall still on Okay, and Counselor Hall is joining us via Zoom.
Yes, I just stepped out because you said we were taking a short break.
Okay. And that's Division 4. And go ahead and please introduce yourselves.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having us. Aspen View is always very happy to come as a delegation yearly. So my name is Candy Nicopilo. I'm the current board chair, and I am trustee for Ward 3, which is the Grassland and Boyle area. And I'll let everybody else do their introductions.
Hello, my name is Annie Kurzmarchik. I am moved now to Ward 1, which is the Smith area and south, representing Island Lake, Baptiste Lake, Minook, Fort Bar, all that strip down there, and was formerly Athabasca, but now I.
Good morning. My name is Maria Smosarska, and I'm a trustee for Ward 2 Athabasca.
And I'm Dennis McNeil. I've been a trustee since 2010. I represent the town of Athabasca with Maria Smosarska here. And it's a pleasure to be here this morning. Nice to see you all.
Hello, and my name is Constantine Castrino, Superintendent of Aspen View Public Schools.
Perfect.
And this is my 3rd year.
Thank you very much. So you got a presentation to give to council and everything?
Yeah, so we have a presentation prepared. It's not unlike presentations that some of you might have seen before, but what we like to do is give you stats about our county schools. So we have 2 county schools, correct? But plus our Athabasca schools. Yeah. So we'll be reporting on 5 schools within our counties. So I'm going to let Mr. Castrinos kind of lead the way with the slideshow, and please ask any questions when they pop into your mind, because if we wait until the end, they might be gone. So
Yeah, no, absolutely ask questions as you would like. This is our 3rd time through this together. I know that some of you are new, and for some of our new trustees, this is a new experience, but we like to get to all our municipal partners and just connect at least once a year in person. So today we'll talk about a few different things. We'll talk about enrollments and demographics in our schools. We'll talk about the supports that we are grateful to receive from the county and some of those partnerships. And then we'll also talk about some things that we're working on as a school division, just to keep you in the loop in case you're hearing about it in community or if you have any questions about it. So we'll start with a little bit of an overview of enrollment from K to 12, which is the first slide. This is a 10-year trend. And as you can see, we had a dip in 2021 with COVID of about 2491. And this year we're at 2473. The primary reason for that is because we're seeing decline in enrollment entries at the kindergarten level, especially in Athabasca, in our Athabasca school. So typically, and you'll see this in a slide coming up, at Whispering Hills, typically we would get about 100 kindergarten students, and now we're seeing numbers closer to 70. So that's just lower birth rates. We've looked into some of those numbers, and there's just simply fewer kids.
And as you can tell by the numbers, we're lower right now than we were during the peak of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. So, these are the Athabasca schools. In this slide here, it's the combined enrollment. So as you can see with our Athabasca schools, this is the decrease that I'm talking about. Yes.
So with the numbers, I really I'm new, so.
Okay.
Homeschooling, Aspen View, we deal with homeschooling as well, right?
Well, no, parent-led homeschooling is not enrollment for us. So if you're parent-led homeschooled, you would not be reflected in these numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah, you wouldn't be captured in any of those numbers. Now, that said, do I think that we have 30 new kindergarten age kids choosing homeschool every year? No. This is a much bigger issue than just homeschoolers. Okay. So if you look at the following slide, the colored one, it shows you EPC LTIS and WIPs over the 10 years. Okay, so you see this slight decline that's coming in. EPC this year is right around 660 students. They're graduating a class which is larger again at about 120 or so. But what's coming up from LTIS, let's say next year, will be in the range of about 70 to 80 students. So when you have that happen, you get a natural decline of about 40 students right off the bat, just in that transition. And then the entry transition, which I talked about from Whispering Hills in kindergarten, right? So then kids going to LTIS from Whispering Hills after that for grade 4 are about 30 less as well. Okay. Now, we'll have a look at Boyle. Boyle's enrollment has actually increased over the last few years. And we see it come off of the pandemic lows of about 226, or even back in 2017 when it was 219 students, and it's about 250 students at the moment. Okay. We're seeing new people moving into the area, and in some cases from places, urban centers like Edmonton, where families are seeing Boyle as a more affordable option. And so we are seeing some new families move into the area. Okay.
But it is showing a decline though too? Like the Boyle area, or?
Well, from
just a
last year to
right?
this year, it's about 8 students.
Yeah.
But if you look at the historic lows earlier, it's, it is trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In Grassland School, which is traditionally one of our smaller schools, we see some enrollment rebounding there, coming off the lows of the pandemic of about 50 students as a low, and now we're about 80 students. And that can be attributed to the fact that we have some families from the Plamondon area and some rural farms in that area that are choosing to come our way in Grassland instead of going to Plamondon or even Lac La Biche.
And I think that in particular is a really good news story, because Grassland was, I mean, when you go down to 50 students, you're really on the cusp. You're really like, it's a worry whether or not the school can sustain itself. And, just seeing them raise their numbers, and it has a lot to do with their administration has worked really hard to get into some of the communities. We've had some White Russians that have come back to this school, that historically White Russians were good supporters of the school in years past, and many of the families have come back. So I just think it's a great news story.
I think Councillor DeHall, you.
Yeah, in the Grassland area, I noticed there's a lot of Mennonite people moving in, and large families as well. If there was a way, I know a lot of them do homeschooling, but if there was a way to capture them and encourage them to do the schooling in Grassland, and I don't know if there's an avenue that we can do that, via maybe meetings or with them, or just touch with them and see if that would really help, because there is some large families.
Yeah, and what's happened over the last few years is that our community, our principal has had events at the school and has invited. And I think what's happened is that you see, it's like anything, once positive news gets out and some families see people from their own community choosing it, it creates momentum. And I think we're in a positive momentum situation right now in Grassland. And I anticipate the numbers to go up in terms of getting more of those families that you're speaking of to
So Councillor DeHolick, we do have Mennonite families there. Yeah. There is a number of kids there whose language is not English. So a couple years ago, I think it would be 2 years ago, Councillor Chamzik, that they entered the school there without any knowledge of English. So our staff has worked very, very hard. And even today, it would be hard pressed to figure out which were those English as a second language learners, because they have learned so quickly.
Well, that's really encouraging. I hope we continue with that program.
Oh, sweet. Reeve Holland first.
Thank you very much. And I'm loving hearing the good news stories, of course, for Grassland and Boyle. I just wanted to bounce back to the Athabasca area. and what's happening with the decline? Is our families moving away, or can you give us some idea what's happening?
So looking into census and some of those demographic pieces, there are fewer 0 to 4 aged children in Athabasca than there were 10 years ago. And the population is increasing in age on average. So I guess it's a larger question in terms of, as a greater community, how do we promote new graduates, maybe return to the community and raise future families here? I think that would be a question. We have these large graduating classes coming out of Edwin Parr School, 120, 140 students in recent years. Attracting families or their young families back in the future. I think that's a big part of it.
And I think the other part of that is when you can demonstrate how good public school is, that attracts families as well. And so when we look at, for example, Landing Trail and Whispering Hills, we look at the assurance model there, and the results are outstanding. So that is a real feather in our cap, I think, in terms of being able to draw kids in. And I've got some message that needs to get out there, that public school should be the first choice. And I think that's what's happening. Again, the better the education, the more you're going to attract those kids. And Landing Trail and Whispering Hills are really great examples of that.
Absolutely. And I'll just add all the schools that we have here in the Athabasca community, all the kids seem to be doing very well, excelling, and so that we know, which is a good testament to the teachers that we have here as well, that we need to thank them very much for all that they're doing. Are you also noticing, though, the big elephant in our room here is housing? Is that something that you're hearing about as well? Not only attracting teachers, but attracting families to the area for the young, especially those young families.
Yeah, I think it's an important point to acknowledge. I don't think it's a secret. I think we've talked about it in previous meetings as well. And I know that there are plans. The last I heard, there was a plan for a nice new apartment development. I believe it was a 3 or 4 story to be developed in this town.
Right.
So I know that there are possibilities for more housing, especially entry level quality housing, because when you move to a community, whether you're a young professional and you're not established yet, so you don't have a ton of money to just take out a mortgage, and it's scary. So you're looking for that kind of, intro or transitional type housing, but that's still quality, right? So I think that's a good point.
Right. Yeah. Some things, hopefully we can attract more families here because it's a beautiful place.
It is.
And we have amazing
Absolutely.
schools and an amazing community. So thank you for the information.
Yep.
Councillor Chamzik, you had some?
You betcha. Yeah, jumping back to Grassland, one of the things that I really want to note that is done really well, there's a bunch of dedicated staff in Grassland, but also with the aids that Aspen View provides, such as the Chromebooks. A lot of those language barriers have really been broken down through apps and everything else as well. And that's huge because the communication skills and technology that these kids also learn, and also our English speaking children, having a little bit more diverse culture has been excellent to have in our schools.
So just along those lines, this is really new information, but we're actually going to hot off the press. As you know, recently the Alberta government talked about and collected data relating to complex classrooms and what they could do to support complex classrooms around the province. And so they made a big announcement on Thursday, a public announcement about the money that will be going into complex classroom teams across the province. So Aspen View will also be receiving funding for a complex classroom team, and that team is going to Grassland School to serve students there. And the way they came up with that is they looked at a combination of factors, but the largest being kids with exceptional needs, and then also kids that have multiplying factors. So they might have exceptional needs and not be first language English speakers, right? So they had a formula, and they've told us that there will be funding. My understanding is the funding will be in the neighborhood of $140,000, and that money will be sufficient to hire a teacher and an educational assistant to support the K-3 students in that school.
That is just really excellent news to hear. Good job, Aspen View, for
Mhm.
whether you applied for it or whatever, but I much
We
appreciated.
our board advocates. This is exactly what the function of our board is and their governance skills. And I think as a superintendent, I'm lucky to have a board that on average has 12 to 15 years, it seems, as trustees. So they know what they're doing and they're great advocates for our school community. So at the end of the day, it's the advocacy that ends up getting us those dollars from government.
Perfect. Very good.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about staffing just because I'd like for you to see some of the proportion of certificated staff, especially to support staff. Like when I came to Aspen View, the first thing I noticed is that certificated staff and support staff in most schools, the ratio is pretty close. So for instance, if you look at Whispering Hills, which is a K-3 school with a Great Beginnings program, you have 16 certificated staff members, but you also have 16 support staff as well. That's really rare. Yeah, when I 20 years of my career spent in Edmonton Public, and I'll tell you that that is not the ratio you would see in school, where you'd have 16 full-time FTE certificated staff and 16 support staff. You might see 5 or 6, and they would be working in teams, like with groups of students. You wouldn't see one-on-one. So that is just that's how we spend our money. That's what it comes down to. So when people say, hey, you need to be accountable for how you're spending your money, are your dollars reaching the kids? That to me is evidence that it is, because we're putting it exactly where kids need it. Okay. Now, of course, without your support, we wouldn't have access to our family school liaison workers, and through your partnership and your dollars, we really appreciate that. We're able to provide those counseling and supports. And as you know, in today's world, that is just, it's probably the largest pressure that we face as educators outside of just educating kids, is keeping our students and our staff, not just students, but keeping them, feeling healthy enough to attend school regularly. That's a real, challenge for us. So, okay. A landing trail, which is, of course, starts in grade 4 and moves upward. Similar, 16 certificated staff, 11 support staff working with them. Okay. And of course, the access to family school liaison worker. And then at Edwin Parr, we have 40 certificated staff, 13 support staff. The question probably is, because it's a question that I always think about when I look at the numbers, why do we see fewer support staff as kids get older? And this is my response, I guess, as an educator, would be, once kids get to high school, there's the ability to stream according to courses. So for instance, the grade 5 teacher has everybody in the room, and it doesn't matter that little Constantine is reading at a grade 3 level, but he's in a grade 5 classroom. He's in grade 5, so he has to be there. By the time kids get into high school, they can take English 20-1 or 20-2 or another, there's multiple offerings, and those offerings are tailored and differentiated exactly for those students. So there's less of a need. We still see them though when we have challenges with students around regulation. It could be behavior and other things. And so you still see them, especially in the junior high level. And of course, we know with EPC starting in grade 7 and going through grade 12, we have that group there as well. Okay. All right. Staffing for our Center for Alternative and Virtual Education. We have 4 certificated staff there. We have 1 support staff member who helps keep everybody moving in the same direction, if you will. And then also we have about 30 students enrolled, grades 9 through 12. Is there a question? Yeah.
Actually, it's more of a comment.
Sure.
I just want to say how amazing it is to have this option for the students. The Center of Alternative Virtual Education. I don't know if that's offered all across Alberta. I don't believe it is. It seems to be more unique in certain areas. And I just want to say I am so thrilled that the high school kids have this opportunity. Not only can they ladder up in their courses, so in grade 10 they can take 20 classes, grade 11 classes, and really tailor their education, how they need it to be, whether they're doing work, you know, they want to work outside of school as well. But to have this opportunity is huge. I know we learned just from my son alone what an amazing independent learner he is, and he is just excelling through high school. So I want to say thank you for this
Well,
opportunity that the kids
I'm
have.
glad you like it because we're gonna, yeah, we're making some changes to it that I think are going to really bring it right into the 21st century in terms of what we can offer to students. And I'll talk about those toward the end when I talk about a couple of projects we're working on, but this will be one of them.
Yeah, that if you could even consider maybe getting some testimonials from the
Sure.
students. I know mine's graduating this year.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm all excited about that. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't it the largest graduating class, 133, if I'm not mistaken, in history for EPC? Something like that?
Could be, it's
Yeah.
fluctuating between 120 and 132
Okay.
right now, but yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it could be the second largest or largest.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, and thank you for the support for those kids, because yeah, it's amazing. Even the dual credits that they're that
Yeah.
you're able to offer them is really gives them a leg up. So thank you so much.
Right. So in Boyle, we have 19 certificated staff, teachers and administrators, 10 support staff. Again, access to family school liaison worker, which we appreciate. In Grassland, we have 6 certificated staff, 5 support staff. And I spoke earlier about how we're adding another certificated staff member there with our new funding and an additional support staff member. Now, just to give you an idea about that complex team, that's what they're called, complex needs team, is not going to be necessarily hooked into any one classroom or grade. They're kind of like pushing support for kids in the school. So the principal will have to meet with his staff and kind of really determine where the biggest needs are, and that's how that team will get deployed. So if you can imagine, like on different days in different classrooms, you have different needs. And so that team will be deployed to support. And so how would they support? Maybe there's support that's needed with literacy and numeracy. Maybe some students need some real one-on-one around reading and fundamentals of reading or math, right? Or maybe it's just fundamentals around communicating, because we have young ones there who are nonverbal or who are early in their communication journey. So they might need some technology to help them do that, or learn some technology to help them do that. Like for instance, iPads and the use with nonverbal students who have autism, they can choose pictures off of an iPad to help them communicate where they couldn't speak or can't communicate before. And as you know, it's a great level of frustration. Like if you can't communicate, then you typically, and you're frustrated, your behaviors go up too, right? So it just helps us in those regards. Yeah. All right. Of course, we also have our colony schools. We have Athabasca Colony, New Pine Colony, and Deep Creek.
I was really surprised with the numbers there. I honestly thought Deep Creek would have more kids, but all of a sudden New Pine is it's really outstanding to see that.
New Pine is a fairly young colony.
Yeah.
And you'll see the numbers in Deep Creek rise quickly, I think.
Oh, okay.
They are as well. So those two, whereas Athabasca Colony was an older population.
Yeah.
So they keep steady. I think that number, correct me if I'm wrong, Trustee McNeil, but I think that number is like fairly constant. So yeah, no, our colony numbers are great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see, I mean, as a school division overall, we'll continue to see increases in numbers. We have new colonies being established in our area, and there's growth there, but yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll talk a little bit about a couple of projects that we are starting on or have started on, just to share with you in case you hear or if you read about them or in case you have I wonders. So every year the government of Alberta puts out something called the Assurance Survey. So it's sent to parents who have kids in grades 4, 7, and 10 this year. Yeah, it changes, but 4, 7, and 10 this last year's. And the survey comes and it just asks about things like, citizenship or quality of education or anything like that in terms of the experience that students and parents are having in the school, parental involvement. What we did this year that was different is we had every admin team meet with the local trustees and myself and go through those results. And so if it's going to be called an assurance survey, meaning accountability, then we should probably have conversations around the accountability and the results. And it's not to like shake the finger at the principal and give them, some roadmap or ultimatum. It's about, okay, so here are the results. What's your plan? Like, what are you going to dedicate yourself to improve in whichever areas are identified that need improvement? We also had, in many cases, school council chairs there as well who could participate. I think that's important because there's an important role there for school council to play in engaging stakeholders and parents and making this a real conversation about accountability. So we're going to continue with that. And as it goes forward, it may evolve and look a little bit different, but the roots will be the same. And that'll be every year in November, December, we will have these conversations around the fall results and kind of get our roadmap together for the future, for the next coming year. It helps us form our ARR, helps us form our education plan.
And these results reviews that we do with the government are not a new thing. We've done them historically for many years, but this is the first time that we are talking to our administrators and coming up with a plan as to how can we get better. That we celebrate the highs, but there's always underlying things that you can always improve. So it's just like a coordinated team effort. And I really like the model. I expect big things coming out of it.
Yeah. All right. And then the cave revisioning. When I first came to Aspenview, it was one of the first things. I remember standing outside of the cave, and I think it was Trustee McNeil actually that said to me, "Hey, you know what? We want to have a look at this and do a little bit of work." Not because the cave offers, as you mentioned earlier, tremendous opportunities for students who don't have traditional access to schools, right? And that's across the division, right? So if I'm in a situation where I lost my parent recently and I need to work as a 17-year-old to help pay the bills, I don't have time to be in a classroom every day. Or if I have other challenges, mental health, or perhaps like something else, an elite athlete, or somebody who is just looking to take a course that isn't being offered currently at the school and they need it this semester, right? Or they need it as part of a requirement. So that's the big part of what the cave does. It gives access to kids outside of traditional means. We're going to improve that because what we're going to do is we've involved the university, Athabasca University, and what they're doing right now is they're doing an audit and they're looking at our English 30-1 course. I chose English 30-1 because it's a gatekeeper course for university and post-secondary for students. Most of them need to have it. And then what they're looking at is how good the platform is and what the design of the course looks like and whether it can be better. So that's one aspect of what we're doing to improve it. The second thing is we're moving from the current location up to the university campus. And there's actually a lease portion right across from our new offices that are now going to be dedicated to the new cave. We're going to rebrand it because whenever I thought of the cave, I just thought about it, kind of like a dark place. You go inside, which is not necessarily like the ideal image. So we're going to come up with a new brand. We'll do some engagement around that and come up with a new title for it. But we'll be on university campus. There's some great rooms there as well, and to create a bit of a virtual classroom, so the last part of my vision is how it's delivered. So it's not just the course and the platform. It's how teachers are engaging with students. So the old ADLC kind of model was, I'll send you the package and you'll work on the package and you'll send it back to me and I'll mark it and then I'll send you your mark. And what I'm hoping for now being, with the technology we have and having the university engage in the platform is that we have students and teachers engaging in a synchronous manner at least a couple days a week. So that if they can, and my hope is that even if they can't attend the time that the teacher has booked because they're in another class, let's say in their school, that we can record those lessons and upload them to a YouTube channel so that they can access them later and if they're trying to work on their trigonometry assignment or something, they're not just struggling on their own. There's something there that the teacher has included for help. So it's just the way, the delivery model we're going to improve a bit, and the platform of course offerings.
I'm over the moon actually to hear this regarding AU, Athabasca University, and actually the when you guys moved there, it was a huge change. It was a huge change, and to see the progression of the positives is amazing to hear. So thank you for that. Good.
Thanks for saying that, Councillor Mins, because although we enjoyed our time here, it couldn't have worked out better for us,
Oh, yeah.
for us to move up to Athabasca University and opening up opportunities for our school division.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I really want to thank like Dr. Clark and Catherine Swindlehurst for their support. They've been open door for us in terms of everything I go to as an ask. I say to them, hey, can I access your course designers? They're like, absolutely. Here's our, they're so forthcoming and in terms of sharing. So really want to give them a public thank you.
I have a question. I'm glad you mentioned ADLC. I'm very, very familiar with it. My wife taught there for several years, but I look at the cave and I'm curious, there's only 30 students there. Is this not a worldwide thing?
That's a good question. So traditionally, it's just been for our school division or students within our school division. But part of my other vision is that if we're going to offer something better with a better platform, that, AU is all over the world, right? Their platform, is world class. So if we can get to that point in terms of what we're offering, then I would really like to push it province wide so we can enroll students from any part of the province. And we can also then, even with adults, so if there's somebody out there looking to finish English 30 or something, they want to go back to school, they can take it through Aspen View. And then if AU is our partner, they can enroll online then for some AU courses, right? It's a bit of a natural fit. So that's the vision. Yeah.
So who picked up the slack? Whatever happened to ADLC, I understand it dissolved, but
yeah,
all of those people, my wife was telling me like 12,000 students or something like that. Where did they all go?
So many of them went through Pembina Hills. Vista Virtual was created to pick up some of that, but they've seen declining enrollment as well over the last few years. Like their numbers are not holding too steady. So there is this kind of divisions are trying to do what they can do regionally, but I think it's an opportunity for us, especially if we have a bit of declining enrollment. I mean, you can pick up a couple hundred students online.
That's awesome. It's awesome news. So,
and that's kind of our report, if you will, or our presentation. If you have any more questions at this time.
Councillor Chanzik.
I just have a quick comment. This is excellent news and it's great for our whole region all across, and great job.
Okay, Councillor Hall.
So, earlier you talked about, enrollments being down a little bit and some of the cause of that is lower birth rates. I think we've seen some Stats Canada stuff that maybe suggests there's a bit of population decline. I wonder if you would share with us sort of the division's view or your view of the division's role in economic development and community building in the region that the division serves.
Well, I think that's a good question. It's a big one. I think in terms of recruitment and retention, we have work to do. I think that teachers and whether it's support staff, central office staff, I mean, we can and we do offer work. If that's what you mean by economic development, I'm not sure, but in terms of career opportunities, definitely. But we're also open to suggestions. I mean, AU is one partnership for us. But we're open to any other suggestions from the county. If there's a role we can play, we definitely would be happy to do so. Yeah.
If I may, I think the other part of it is we continue to demonstrate excellence in our schools. That's going to attract people and attract kids. And I think the thing that's really important here is that every decision our board makes is filtered through the lens of what's in the best interest of kids. And it's a really great segue because I brought pins for each one of you that say children first, because that's exactly what we believe. Because it is important to understand that, again, it's all about the kids. And we're always striving to be better. And I think Whispering Hills and Landing Trail are demonstrating that, and that knowledge and that expertise we're sharing with other schools. We have teams that are working together to, again, continually look at improvement in our schools. And I think that's the key to attracting kids and attracting families as well. So
I also think and I think maybe where you were going with the question, and I'm sorry if I misinterpreted it, is the idea that we provide maybe more or different types of trades opportunities for students, and maybe even in the medical fields, we could do some kind of dual credit to post-secondary transitional things with AU. But those are things we definitely want to work on.
Okay, Revolt.
Thank you. You know, and in just taking it a little bit step further, I think we need to do a better job. And I know even with the county of bragging about our community and bragging about our schools and bragging about what we have to offer here, because we have such an amazing community and obviously an amazing amount of experience that it really keeps us going and keeps us moving forward. And so I just want to say thank you so much for doing the jobs that you're doing. You're doing a great job. And I just think we need to share it more. I think we need to get out there and let people know this is a wonderful place to bring your young families. We have amazing schools, amazing teachers. We have an amazing board. We've got it. It's rural is where it's at. So we need to bring people here and really get that message out. So thanks.
So being new to the board trustees, my first observation when I started this job is how well the division is organized. And in terms of the budget, how lean that budget is on many fronts, on many levels, but how efficiently it is run, meaning that most of the money, really a large percentage of the money is spent on the students, not on the administration. And I think that speaks to the fact that Dennis was talking about, Trustee McNeil was talking about how, we believe that we are here for the kids and the division does everything to benefit the children and to provide them with the best possible opportunity. And we have a lot of challenges, such as, for example, geography is a big challenge. We are spread over a large area and we have a maintenance department, for example, that works in many schools. And yet, to show in the budget how much money goes towards the kids, it's really outstanding. So I wanted to thank you, Superintendent Castrinos, for doing an excellent job with your staff for doing that. And also for the fact that every school in our county does excellent job and has many, and every school has many strengths. Like we provide a solid base for the kids who go to the high school here in town. And then the high school, they apply some really innovative strategies to make sure that as many kids as possible graduate. So for example, they have, and I don't know the current or the proper word for it, but they they have a graduation coach, but they also have a graduation completion. So for example, if a kid is doing not so good, in the latter part of the semester, they're making sure that, when they pass the first semester that they help them along so they actually pass the courses. And it's the focus is not only to, provide them with an opportunity to complete, but also to prepare them for the real world in the real job market and so forth. So thank you for that, because there's a lot of good things that are going on in this division.
You win a pin for that.
Okay.
Perfect. That sounds really good.
And Councillor Hall, I left your pin beside your name tag.
Okay, did you catch that, Councillor Hall?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Councillor Cheeson.
Just in the light of, Tumbler Ridge, and I haven't had a child in school for a while, but I have grandkids coming up. Safety. I mean, back in the day when I had a child in school, we just walked in. So can you enlighten us as to maybe what has been happening and maybe how we want to make sure our rural schools stay safe?
I think it's a really great question. It's a timely one, and unfortunately, it's tied into the recent tragedy. But I think that, um, the world has changed. I, you talk about your experience with your own children. I think about my own time in school or high school and what it was like, in a smaller town. Time has changed. And times have changed. So sometimes we hear negative feedback from parents because the front doors are locked and they have to buzz in and they got to come to the office first and sign in and things like that. Or we hear about cameras being around the school and how that's, potentially an invasion of privacy and things like that. But my role as superintendent, whenever I respond to those questions, like I understand where people are coming from. Like you just want to go down to your kid's classroom and give them their lunch. Why is this such a big deal? Like, why, and I understand that. I do. As a parent, I get it. And as, a kid who loved lunch, I get it. But I think lunch was my favorite. I think that, it's just, we can't take the chance anymore. And even though there are people, in most cases, we know who they are. It's just the repercussions, they've always been there. It's just think in the past, we were a little bit more naive about what could happen. But the world has changed so much now that we need to put the processes in place. So for our school division, for instance, today, I send out an email and a bit of a directive to a couple different people saying, okay, so let's gather up all the emergency plans for all the schools and let's audit them and make sure everything that's needed to be in those plans, is in the plans. It's part of the work that we have ongoing. But yeah, we are looking and reviewing those things. So things like preparing and practicing a lockdown procedure, is that happening? How are we training students to be as safe as possible? Like I know one of the little girls who's in critical care right now or in a critical condition that came out of Tumbler Ridge. She was just trying to lock the door to her classroom, right? She was trying to get her classroom door shut and locked. So it's those types of things that we are reviewing right now and just making sure.
So we got a directive from the education minister this weekend, actually. So every school division in Alberta is submitting their safety protocol plans to the government to assess and get back for feedback and see what's missing. Are you doing okay? Are you meeting the mark?
Now here's the thing, like it still doesn't mean that everything is foolproof because it's not, because schools were never meant to be penitentiaries. Okay. Like you've probably seen schools in the United States, especially in California, where they have those big outdoor campuses with all the outside entrances to classrooms. You see walls and razor wire and stuff around the entire property, right? But that's not our reality. And I don't think anyone's looking to go there. But at the end of the day, we do our best to make sure we have processes in place so that if something has happened, we can mobilize people, we can lock down, we can secure. But it doesn't mean that somebody isn't going to be stuck in a hallway.
Perfect. Councillor.
Having kids in school for well over a decade. I've always found Aspen View very proactive in some of those things. When some of those measures were put in place, I think there was quite the opposite of some of the parents of, wow, that's a little extreme. But, as it turns out and the way of our demographics of our world are, I'm very grateful for those practices put in place, whether they're instituted early or not. So much appreciated.
Well, that's awesome. CEO Beck.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So we didn't include, we have a little bit of room in our budget for REP program. If someone,
Nice.
if the board is interested in working with us towards that, a little late in this calendar year to start that, but we could start talking with you about maybe it applying for the 26-27 year. I understand the county has done it in the past and then it's kind of had a hiatus for a number of years, but it's something we'd like to bring back. It's a bit of a win-win. It's work for both parties, but if you can get a couple of kids through that program, they get a bit of a jump start on life after school. So
Well,
we'd
I
love
think-
to explore that.
I think that and also just previous to what Councillor Hall is saying in terms of like the economic development piece and maybe having kids be ready to contribute to local economies, I think that would be great. Thank you.
And
Thank
we're
you,
always open to partnerships.
Thank you for bringing it up because I've witnessed and worked with many of RUP students in our shop area and different areas like that. One even being my son and it is a great program. I never want to see actually it go anywhere but get more and more advanced because it literally helps a lot of our kids, especially in the trades. If we can really push the trades, it'd be great. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think we're a little over our time here, so.
Great
we
information.
appreciate the audience. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Well, yeah, we're going to take about we'll take a 10-minute recess. We'll reconvene here right at 11 o'clock. Okay, sorry about that, but we just had that great presentation by them, by the Aspen View, and just a heads up, our next two delegations actually have canceled to due to the weather, I think is Portage College will come back and see us later on, and Northern Lights, with the travel, they've canceled, so we're gonna move right back to department updates and move on to, I think it's find the page 50, page 50, 48, somewhere in that neighborhood.
48. 48.
48. Okay, so we're going on to Director Wilkinson with the Community and Protective Services. So thank you for this report right off the bat. And is there any questions or anything that anybody wants to ask? Reeve Holland.
Thank you. And once again, thanks for these reports. I probably say it till I'm blue in the face, but they are incredibly valuable and we're much appreciated for the work that goes into them. Page 49, I highlighted a few things just for clarity for sake, working with fire halls to remove carcinogenic firefighting foam concentrates. Is there a bit more information what that means? No.
Just doing some cleanup around the fire halls.
So is that from trucks, from the trucks themselves, or
I'm not sure.
not? Is it possible to shoot us some info on that one, please? Thank you. Entered into new communication agreement process with RMWB relating to the Highway 63. Assuming that that is, or maybe we can't talk about that in open, but assuming that that will be coming to council at some point before the end of the contracts?
Yes.
Okay. What else have I got here? Oh, we probably don't have a time, but I was curious just for scheduling purposes, planning the economic development, EDA's economic development for elected officials course. Do we have a time start time for that one yet?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check and we'll send something out to council.
Okay, thank you. And a real shout out to Boyle. Looks like they're hosting another concert this summer, the Roadhammers on July 11th, and then their annual trade show on June 20th. That's amazing. I know that last concert was a huge success and it drew a lot of people to the community. So I think that that's amazing that they're going ahead and doing that again. Also a shout out too for, I noticed in community transportation, it's exciting to see that there has been a request for tender that was posted first week of February for the purchase of a new handy van. That's exciting. The other shout out I wanted to mention as well, you know, these good news stories we need to talk more about, and Meals on Wheels donation. There was $800 in donations that was received by the Wheels on Meals program in memory of Wendy McLean. So that is an amazing thing to offer to our community for that donation. And then the Family Day at the Multiplex, I heard was a huge success as well, that Athabasca County FCSS sponsored the free entry to the field house for the general public on February 16th on Family Day 1 to 3, which is also greatly appreciated. So a lot of good news coming out that we love to share with everyone. One other thing I noticed on page 53, we have the different enforcement services and the stats that go there on this particular page. And of course, we always notice it seems that the dog bylaw, is it working better? So that's one question I had. I noticed where, of course, seems to be the highest thing that we seem to tend to, but has the new bylaw made a difference?
I would say yes. I think that it's made, the season's coming up, so I think over the spring and summer, we'll certainly get a better feel for the tools that we have in the box. But I think so far so good.
Awesome. That's good news too. And I think, the information on the nuclear energy that was provided, is this something that, the Economic Development Office or officer is pursuing maybe interest in developments, or is this just basically information?
Just some information there and, we'll see what comes out of council strat planning and that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Great information. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And also, we all know the FCSS stats as well that are so greatly appreciated in the support for our community. So thank you so much.
Councillor Jamzik.
I had the similar question as well, but I also want to say great job for our fire guardians being able to get out so many permits as well. And from my recollection, it is a 5 business day issuing process, is it not? Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, any more questions for Director Wilkinson? Seeing none? Councillor Hall.
Thank you. Just one follow-up to page 50 in the comment about the community transportation. Can you remind us of the funding split on that again? County pays what percent?
Don't quote me, but I think it's about 67% in the town, 20 something in the village. Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at the budget, the numbers are in there.
Okay, I'll go look for it there. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, on that note, thank you very much for the report. And we will move on to Mr. Morton, Director of Infrastructure Services. Take the hot seat. So.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Council.
Morning.
So you've got our report there. I won't go through it and I'll just answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Reeve Holland.
I don't mind starting. Page 71, there, I had received a complaint with regards to the snow that's being hauled off the streets into where it was put through in Rochester. Is that something new just because of the amount of snow that we've received? Or is this going to be common practice was basically the question, or is this just a one-off?
It's been done in the past is what I've been told. I doubt it was done the last 2 years just because of snowfall. But it is an area that gets fairly congested. And so, I mean, if we're seeing normal snow events, we're probably going to have to haul it.
Right. And so the location that it's being dumped that's the normal spot that it usually goes?
Yeah, it's a little further back than where it used to be from the creek. We've tried to create a bigger buffer there.
Okay.
So
awesome. Thank you for that. Also on page 71, it mentions the process of reviewing 30 engineering pre-qualification packages for 5 areas of discipline scopes of work within the county. Is there a way to elaborate on the 30 engineering pre-qualification packages? I know it's a little bit, it's a lot, but when I read that, what does that exactly mean and entail, and who is and where and why and what and all of those things that come to mind?
Through the chair, one of the RFPs that we put out was for engineering services for 5 different disciplines. Now you could apply for just one discipline or all 5, depending on the type of engineering firm that you are. In the RFP, we assess the organization and their abilities and experiences. their team, they have to identify who would be our representatives. So it comes with resumes, everything. You know, they have to provide projects information that they've worked on. Especially municipal projects, other municipalities or this one. They also need to provide references. And they're limited to 80 pages in their RFP. And I can tell you that the vast majority of them use all 80. So it's a fair amount of information to go through. And we have to go through each RFP for each discipline that they've applied for. So right now we've basically gone through 3 of the disciplines. Jamie and her team are currently going through the environmental discipline as well as the building. Roy and Jamie and myself did the bridge one first so that we could get some of these bridge projects out, especially the Alpac Bridge. So I've since went out to 3 for quote for the Alpac Bridge. So we plan on pre-approving multiple engineering firms under each discipline, and then we don't have to go to RFP for every project. We can just get a quick quote.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I can imagine the amount of time that takes is huge to go through all of that. So just to clarify the 5 areas of discipline, you've got bridge, environment, facilities,
transportation,
which is roads, right?
roads. And then, did you say environment?
Yep, bridge.
Municipal is the other one.
Sorry?
Municipal.
Okay. So
which could be
Civil
Civil?
engineering.
got it. I appreciate that. Yeah, and like I say, the amount of work that entails and the amount of time.
Going
that-
for proposal for all other disciplines later.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
Just-
huge.
Just a real quick one there. Is this every year or is this going to be over
it's a huge amount of review work at this time, but it's a multi-year, so it's going to save us over the next 3 to 5 years because we could extend. But it's a lot of work today, but it'll save us work over the next long haul.
Pays for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, that's excellent. I appreciate the pre-planning that goes into that. That's awesome. Just was curious, and so that I understand it correctly, on page 72, the 3rd bullet point at the top, it's just the language, so I'm just gonna try and make sure I understand it properly. On February 9th, Alberta Traffic Supply. Bob, is that mobilized?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, just wanted to make sure that I understood that correctly because I'm reading it and I'm not exactly familiar with all of those particular terms, so I appreciate that. The division update, the Island Lake waterline, the geotechnical investigation. So the geotech investigation has been complete? If I understand it correctly, or no? We're in the middle of it?
Correct.
Okay, so it's
ongoing. They're still trying to get approval to go through the towns.
okay, so but the geotech portion of it is, we're awaiting for more information coming from the town with regards to the geotechnical situation. Okay.
And the location of where we can actually go do it. So
Okay.
It's still not completed, but it's ongoing.
Okay. Thank you. And I think we've already touched on the next one, the RFPQ, request for proposal, pre-qualification for engineering services. We talked about that. Meetings and research for path forward on Rochester and Grassland truck fills. Is that Wandering River? Or we're not?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Just want to make sure there's nothing new and exciting. Sorry, Ken. Sorry. Right, the regulatory public works yard contamination, it's mentioned that there's a letter that was sent from AEPA and then a response letter is being drafted. Is that something that will be coming to council for our information?
What is this? Sorry.
Sorry, this is the very last one, the regulatory on page 72, the Public Works Yard contamination meeting with AEPA. And then to discuss a letter that was sent and then a.
Yeah, we don't typically send council every bit of correspondence going back and forth.
No,
If there's
understood.
an action item for council, then we bring it to council. I mean, it's things are moving ahead.
Okay, so things are okay there and
Yep.
nothing, and not a new development there. Okay, thank you. The GIS on page 73, the traffic counts layer complete in the GIS, which is great. And I don't recall, did we see the traffic counts reports that came from that project that we had a lot of phone calls on wondering what the big black things were stretched across the road? I don't think that came to council, did it? Is it possible to get that information?
I guess if you want it.
Well, it would be nice to see definitely where our, where our traffic is, where the heavy roads are, so we have a better idea and understanding.
So it'll show you the traffic counts on the roads that we counted. There's no, I guess, overall comparison for the rest of the roads
Right.
but
But it would be nice to know.
Mr.
what-
Chair, yes, we can. We
Thank
will.
you. Yeah, that'd be great. Appreciate it. And I don't suppose we have any update on the credit card prepaid software going into the truck. We don't have that. Do we know what the holdup is on that one? To get the,
yeah, we're still trying to figure out if there's a different option. So
okay, thank
we will
you.
keep you updated on the progress.
Okay, and as well, congratulations once again to the rural women in the county, not only the recipients of the awards, but for the committee for doing such a great job in putting that event together. So I just wanted to give a shout out again to our agricultural services and the rural women's committee for the hard work that they've done. Pardon? Chickens. Yeah, and the chickens. Yeah, I love the art. Love the picture of you in the newspaper in your chicken suit. So, appreciate all the work that was done and it was really well done. So thank you so much. And thank you again for the reports, as you know how much I appreciate them.
Counselor Stasiak.
Couple of questions. I see, I don't know, it was maintenance. There was some request for scraping the ice off of driveways. That's not part of our policy, I'm assuming. So you didn't do any of that, right? Because
I don't know. It's not part of the policy,
Correct.
right?
Okay.
So I would
Correct.
hope we did.
Okay, and now the other one is, I don't know if council has any input into the purchase of these new graders we have. I don't know what the process is actually, but my question to you would be, I see under shop, seems to be a little bit of problem with John Deere graders. Does that impact your decisions in what we're buying here?
I guess through the chair, the evaluation of graders includes a lot of things. They both have their issues. They both seem to go through phases, where they have weak components. So some of the things that we evaluate is serviceability, their ability to service their equipment in a timely manner. How quickly they get us a replacement machine. So all of that criteria is kind of evaluated when we're, and of course, price.
So what my concern is that, and I understand what you're saying. We had talked at a previous meeting here about moving away from our normal 5 and 7, I think it is, because of the warranty factor. Is this going to come back to bite us in year 8 or 9 if some of these graders give more problems than others when they're off warranty? Is that going to cost us in the end? Should we be looking at possibly some sort of a difference in criteria, so we're buying a better machine with less chances of it breaking down, or is there no such thing as a better machine? We don't know, I guess.
Through the chair, I guess right now we would suggest there's only 2 suppliers that have, machines that meet our needs. So you have limited options of where we would be going. And
Okay, anybody else? Counselor Hall.
Thank you. So following up on those questions, regarding warranty, is every breakable item on this equipment covered by the warranty, or does certain pieces fall off earlier than others?
through the chair, not everything would be covered under warranty. Most wear items wouldn't be. We have, I guess, the standard warranty for both that are comparable. So, you know, both warranties are very similar and cover the same components. When we're looking at, you know, extending the years in the warranty, there would be a cost to that, and we will identify that to council coming forward. This time with the two machines that we've tendered out, we've asked for pricing on both. A 5-year 7,500 and a 7-year 10,000 hour warranty. So we'll have, you know, prices and dollars to discuss with council to show our true cost of ownership.
And so I don't know if you would know this off the top of your head, but do you have an estimate on what it just costs to rebuild a grader? Like,
Currently it's between 66 and 75% of the cost of new. Was the last, that changes depending on the dollar, the US dollar, and steel pricing. But it's kind of in that ballpark.
okay, thank you. And they don't come from Canada. They're all out of the US.
And they're not all
Brazil.
built there either. So
Brazil.
some of them are coming from Europe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so to piggyback on that question, how many graders do we have off warranty?
I don't know that offhand. I can find out very quickly.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
it's more than just the two spares is what I've been told.
yeah, the two spares is understandable because we keep them year after year after year, so they won't be on warranty, but it's our main fleet of graders that is bothersome in my end. A couple of questions here. I see on page 72, the new welcome to Athabasca County sign was put in on Highway 63. Just wondering in my travels, and I don't know if we put any money in the budget, maybe somebody can help me out there. Did we budget for any more signs? We did?
Mr. Chairman, we've budgeted for one per year, I believe, until we're finished.
Okay, because on my travels yesterday, I was fishing with my family out in Lawrence Lake, and on my way back, all of a sudden, my grandson wondered why we have a directional sign sitting there as a County of Athabasca sign. It's just the color and everything. He says, how come? What direction are we going here? It's entrance into Athabasca County on Highway 2, the north end. That sign was changed out and just one of the metal signs were put up that says "Welcome to Athabasca County." A little bit down from it, going north, is a huge sign that says "Welcome to MDL Lesser Slave River." Beautiful sign, and I'm just wondering if we could get a beautiful sign. A foam core sign at the north end of Highway 2 would be very it'd be great and showcasing Athabasca County, I think. So hopefully that's where that sign's going.
The next one,
Yeah.
we can definitely take direction where council would like to see the next one go.
Okay. I don't know if we need a
Your plug is in.
Yeah. So, um.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Go
may.
ahead.
I don't believe the sign on Highway 63 was installed. They had to cancel that day. So the information may be, I'm not sure if they got back since then. But can't remember what happened that day, but they canceled.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it was that day that was real foggy and it was unsafe for
Yeah.
them to be on the highway. So
Oh, okay. No, and that's not, at least it's gonna be installed and who knows, February 9th. The beginning of February was so warm, it was like, like summertime, so you betcha. Thanks for that information though. That was, a lot of my questions were actually asked, which is great. The only one that I have is it looks like we've hired a gravel foreman.
today's his first day.
Oh, okay, right on.
So his primary focus will be for graders and gravel.
Oh, it will be for graders?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And will there be like into the training end or how?
More about, just coverage and ensuring that, all the roads are getting covered off. We will be, we're bringing in some training this year, and both that supervisor and 3 operators will go through that training. And then we'll do some every year until we get through all of the grader operators. And it's really a consistent message going through everybody and how we're gonna implement our grader maintenance plan.
Okay.
And so both the new supervisor as well as our operators will be going through that.
And then they'll be dealing with him regarding gravel, like on different roads and stuff like that? or-
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good. Right on. That's a few of my questions. Anybody? Thank you very much for your report. Bye. No, no.
No, I'm sorry. You asked my question.
Oh, well, that's good though. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot there, Mr. Morton. Okay, so we got those reports done. So now what we can do is go through the counselor reports. I'm gonna do something different here and actually start with mine. Actually, my council report is everything's running smooth. Thank you to the weather. Give them operators and all maintenance workers not a little bit of time to catch up on winging back and that and everything worked out very well. Lots of meetings, but I've been putting in my reports and that in there regarding. You'll see in the next one is the doctor recruitment meeting. That's a great meeting. And we had an Alice meeting. That's a great meeting. I got a watershed council meeting coming up and that'll be a good one. And water commission, waste commission, lots of it. So everything's going smooth in that end. And that's about it on my report. From there, let's go to Councillor Hall on Zoom.
Accepting the written reports that I submit. I have nothing to add today.
Okay, perfect. Let's go to Division 9.
All right, mine's pretty short from the last one. I attended bingo yesterday at the Richmond Park Hall. It was super fun way to spend a chilly day and whatever. February so far has been busy with calls. and emails from residents with all concerns, inquiries, and compliments. I'd like to give a big shout out and thank you to admin for always getting back in such a timely manner, answering questions that I'm unable to. I appreciate it. I know the residents do as well. And the rest of February and all of March are ahead. It's going to be busy with meetings, workshops, and conferences. So I'm sure my next reports will be way longer. That's all I got.
Perfect. Councillor Stasiak.
Thank you. I got a few things this time. I apologize for last time. I was totally unprepared, but I attended a few meetings. One was the Blue Heron, which I could submit a report, but it was fairly brief. Question about the opening hours and so on, and did learn a little bit there where they on Saturdays apparently you bring your bottles in and you drop them off in a bin. You fill out a form. They count them when they have time because they're closed to the public from up till noon apparently. There you can go and drop off. You just can't get your money that day. And they're quite interested in returning with this yellow box that people can donate bottles to. And so that's a positive thing there. The second thing was I attended the RMA webinar. I don't know how many others did. I don't think anybody did from here, but it was kind of a reiteration of how the process of how am I thinking here? Resolutions and how they start out from square one. The RMA takes them from there, fine tunes them, and gets people on board. So that was a reasonably good seminar. I think we have another one tomorrow, but we also have another meeting here with the dust control program. So I don't know if I would be attending that. The third one was the Reynolds Mirth Richards seminar on last Friday. That was an exceptional seminar. It talked a lot about collecting taxes, all the way from there to how to deal with reserve lands and the such. Also, security systems and filming. We talked about the school division actually mentioned a little bit about cameras and such, and they talked a bit about that. That was an exceptionally good program. I'd recommend everybody that has the opportunity to take that they do, because administration understands a lot of that already, but just for our own use, it's exceptional. And the last thing I'd like to talk about just very briefly here was I'd mentioned last meeting I was involved in an accident on Highway 44 because of smoke, and it inspired a lot of thought about what our county has for a policy when it comes to burning in the winter and whether or not we enforce to put the fires out in due time, because that could have been a totally different story for us, especially we were involved in a sandwich situation between a semi-trailer and another truck, wrote 3 vehicles off at the same time. Following day, exactly the same routine, but this time 14 other people got taken to the hospital. And so it concerns me a bit when we allow burning in the winter like that, whether or not we have a policy. I did talk to Travis a little bit about it, and he said, yeah, we kind of do, but just want some assurance somewhere down the line that we are on top of it and not putting our county in a position of lawsuits and things like that. And that's about all I have for today.
Perfect. Thank you. Ray Vollen.
It's very short, I promise. Just looking at the time we have left here today. From the last report that I had, I did attend the IMC meeting for Boyle and Athabasca County, which is always very informative when we get together with our other municipalities, and that opportunity to collaborate is always beneficial. The Pembina Zone was February 9th. Which was, again, good information that's coming from those. We'll share the agenda as well for the public to see because of the updates that we received from RMA. We received updates from Brownlee, well, actually information from Brownlee, who's another sponsor, as well as Fortis. So it's always really good information to be able to take in and attend the next meeting on that one. If everybody hadn't gotten an RSVP on it, is September 14th. They are going to 2 meetings a year rather than 4, which is also a benefit as it will help with us with not only budgeting, but the resolutions that we forward to RMA that will be surrounded around those 2 meetings to do beforehand. So I think it's very good work there. of course, there's always committee work that's happening as well. I've been doing a lot of committee work for the ALTSC as we're, of course, going through the master plan and trying to get that updated from 2010. There's also a new website that they're trying to get launched, and we were hoping it would be earlier for the Athabasca Land Trail Steering Committee. However, there is more work that needs to be done just to make sure all the content is accurate and applies to each section of the trail appropriately. And of course, meeting prep is taking up a great deal amount of time. As we all know, we've had some very long meetings. So being prepared for those meetings I do spend quite a bit of time doing that, as well as I'm preparing for the strat plan meeting that is coming up. I'm excited for that to March 5th and 6th. And resident calls and emails are always beneficial to get. I always value the information that comes forward and the questions and concerns, and as well compliments like you mentioned. This weather that we've received prior to today really gave our public works folks some time to catch up, and so people are really thrilled to see that the roads were back in shape. And well, we're going to experience a little bit of difficulty here over the next week or so to bring them back to that standard. But again, appreciate the information and appreciate when residents reach out. So keep doing that because it's their voices that we represent. So thank you for that.
Perfect. Councillor Chomsik.
Really not a lot to report. Met up with a couple of residents in the ag sector, had some really interesting conversation about wildlife. I'm sure everywhere has the influx of coyotes and the advantages that they're having being so light on the snow cross, giving them that predatory advantage. Learned lots at the Reynolds, Mirth, and Richards and Farmer lawyer seminar as well. Always great to attend to get that insight. And also the Rural Women's Conference was a great event to go to this year. It was definitely excellent to see such a wide variety of different subjects being covered. Tonight in the big city in the community of Prospita is the Shrove Tuesday from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock pancake dinner. Ages 7 to 14 years old are $10, 15 and up are 15. Atmore Bingo is also coming up on tomorrow, Wednesday, February 18th. And also on Friday, the Soup for Seniors at Grassland Egg Society, which kind of invites the local area people for a low-cost meal at noon at the Grassland Egg Society. And then just upcoming before our next Committee of the Whole, Atmore Crib Tournament, March 14th. And then also the Grassland Agricultural Society is doing a Grassland Egg Trade Fair, March 20th as well. Other than that, months are flying by. Looking forward to collaborate with council for a strat planning, and RMA will be here sooner than what we know it. And yes, always the shout out to the hardworking team through admin and public works for the great job you do.
Perfect. Councillor Cheeson.
Well, now that everybody stole my thunder. Yes, so ICM meeting with Boyle and Athabasca. I can't really add anything more, so thank you, Tracy, for stealing my thunder there. As well as I did attend the Pembina Zone meeting, so that was my first one. So it was interesting. Good information. I do like the resolutions. RMA did talk about resolutions, so that was good for information. So, and again, I think I'm quite happy with the 2 a year instead of the original 4. And the Rural Women's Conference, you all stole my thunder on that too. But just so you know that I have been really busy with that, being the chairperson and being the MC for that event also took a lot of time. So I do thank Councillor Deputy Reba Mins for taking over some of my other duties and some other committees because I had some overlapping stuff happening. So thank you. That was appreciated. And now he likes my committees. He might not want to give them back. Arm wrestle. So January 30th, I did head out to Kitscoty for the Alberta Hub meeting there. It was a good event. It was nice. I haven't been in that area for a while, so it was nice to see people that I haven't seen for a while. and meet new people. So Lac-La-Biche County has now hired their EDO. So we had the chance to chat with him because, of course, that's our neighbor. So, and just some interesting stuff happening there. Of course, they're trying to, the NAGO and the Alberta Hub, they're trying to integrate that. So we had a lot of conversation that kind of prioritized the whole meeting that day. So still no real decision being made. And funding, of course, is coming to a close. So with the Alberta Hub, so there's some different aspects that they're looking at. Alberta Hub for the smaller municipalities, from what I heard, Alberta Hub has really been the I guess a godsend, because their director is in contact with our municipalities, helps get some of this information out there. So it's been very vital. And I know our EDO, she's been very working with him, and she said like he's been a good point of contact and a good point of interest, information for her. In saying that, I would like to give a plug out to our EDO. She has been working with Alberta Hub, and with one of the new initiatives that Alberta Hub was this site selector project for landing buildings. So for just showcasing our county, and Jen did a really good job. So she worked with Alberta Hub, and our site selector is up and running. So just kudos to her. She's been doing her part on this. Now with the rural ladies conference that happened, we do have a wrap-up meeting on Friday the 20th. So we'll take a look at what the evaluation forms said. I have heard some good feedback. They like some of the humor, and they liked the fact that maybe our speakers were not as long-winded. So some of that feedback is just kind of coming through as I, head around town, and they recognize me out of my chicken outfit. So, but Candy and I did work very hard to MC that event. So looking forward to next year's planning, and that will start on the 20th as well. So, and I think that is all I have for the minute. The Ag Service Board conference, of course, I did talk about that last meeting, so I won't bore you with any more of that. But agriculture is a kind of a push here, and thinking of the farmers that have started calving in this beautiful weather today. So just kudos out there, and thanks for all the work that we all do together with admin. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Councillor DeHollick.
Roads are okay, I'm sure. Roads are okay, and I'm glad to be getting very few phone calls. I did attend the Pembina zone meeting, which was always good. I'll be attending the landscape advisory group meeting on the 12th of March. So I think I'm going to be missing the council meeting that day. In regards to Ken's problem with the smoke, we did have a casualty on Highway 63 at the Pluan Connector a little bit earlier here with the smoke being the cause of the accident. What else have I got? Wandering River started a beanbag tournament or whatever, so they'll be going every Saturday now in Brainette. And I think that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody, for your councillor reports. I don't see there's any discussion regarding them, so I guess, and thank all administration for their reports and everything. And moving on to item number 6.1, minimum tax, page 75 of your agenda. Looks like that's under Mr. Dolly, so Daly, Dally, okay. Mr. Dally. So, so go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Committee of the Whole. So my report kind of outlines, I guess more for discussion, a couple samples of the minimum tax. So basically, I guess I'll open up for questions or discussion.
Thank you so much for bringing the information forward. It's always good to review these things as far as I'm concerned yearly, especially as we're coming up on our tax bylaw that we're going to have to be looking at. So I misunderstood the chart, so I kind of was calculating things differently. And so I was hoping you could help me understand better. When I'm looking at the chart on page 76, I read it to be in the report that the levy, it says a table below outlines municipal tax levy before applying the minimum tax and the minimum tax applicable to the property class. And so I was looking at it going, okay, well, that makes sense. If we have under the $100 minimum levy, 1,983 rolls, I would expect it to equal 198,000. But in the report, if you could help me understand how the minimum tax is applied to these separate rolls, I just expected to see a bigger number.
Through the chair, thank you for the question. So basically the way the minimum tax works, some of these properties already have a tax associated with them. So for example, a resident might have a tax of $55. So with the minimum tax at $100, what we would be doing would be topping up that $55 to $100. So if there's zero tax associated with a property, well, the minimum tax would be the full 100. But if there's already a tax associated, 25, 30, 40, $50, it will be just topped up. So the minimum is 100. So like, I have a resident, for example, farmland is assessed at $50.11. So basically the top up to get to the $100 was $49.89. So when you're looking at minimum tax, it's not necessarily a full $100, say under the $100 column. It will be just a top up to get to 100. The only case where it would be $104 if someone say it's zero tax. So if there's zero tax, we would charge the full 100. And same with the next two columns, like $50 or $30. If someone was already charged $50 or more, they wouldn't get a minimum tax. But say if someone's tax was $30, the top up would only be $20 to reach that 50. And then the same with $30. If someone was $10, they would get a top up of 20. So that's kind of what these charts show. That's why you're not seeing $100 times the number of rows. Because in some cases, some of our residents already has a tax associated with them. So for $100 minimum, it's just topped up to reach that 100. Same with say 50 or 30.
Okay, so basically what you're saying then for the $100 minimum, the $98,225 is the revenue that a minimum tax would bring in.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, so in light of all of this, now that I understand it correctly, as I mentioned in a previous meeting, and I noticed it, and I really appreciate being able to see the differences here, where that minimum tax, who it hits the most, and that's farmland and farmland crown lease. And as we saw here in this chart, I'm just going to basically focus on the farmland crown lease right now, that the number of assessments are 764, but 728 is where the 100 minimum levy would apply to, which is a huge amount, being especially considering where farmland crown leased land is located. And it's generally not somewhere that's receiving services. It's generally way out back, very difficult to access. And the other point too that we struggle with in the community is smaller parcels. So you could have a large grazing lease, but the parcels are made up of 10 acres and 17 acres and 25 acres and 45 acres. And so you're paying that minimum tax on all of those smaller parcels within one basic huge grazing lease. And so that's one of the items that I really am concerned about. I guess I'm figuring it's not really the small operators are really the ones who get impacted the most on these, and leased crown land for farming is pastured generally. You're never guaranteed what that pasture is going to be. You don't know what your weather is going to bring. You don't know what's going on, you know, and all of those things. So I would propose in this situation, that we really have a look at, are we happy with the income that we receive, the revenue that we receive for the $100 minimum levy? And, you know, are we considering looking at, you know, we see surpluses year after year after year. You know, has it been beneficial to our budget? Absolutely. But at some point, we also, in my mind, it's time to start really looking at, are these necessary? So I'm almost wondering if council has an appetite to start looking particularly at the farmland crown leased and lowering their particular minimum tax levy to ensure that we do cover the administrative fees that go out, to send a tax bill out, but to help out those individuals who, as far as I'm concerned, or have a disproportionate burden on them, to $30. It's to cover that particular minimum tax. And I'm pretty sure, I was trying to find it in conversation, and as well as the MGA, that we could have a different amount for a different class. And I just wanted to make sure that that was something that we could do, that if once we institute $100, it has to go against every class that amount, or can one class be a different amount? So we have, you know, 100 here, 100 here, 100 here, but this class is 30. Do you know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure that that's something that we can do. So I don't know where council's sitting on that. I know this is time for conversation and whatnot, but I am definitely concerned about that particular class. I would also, in my, you know, looking at the different municipalities on page 77, when we look at all of what everybody else is charging, you know, we're looking at 4 of them at 50, 4 at 100, 1 at 75. I'm not even going to include the MD because we don't have farmland up there in these stats, but 1 at 75, 1 at 250, 1 at 200, 2 at 25. We're sitting at in that, you know, average right around where we should be. But again, I keep looking at this and thinking, is $75 really going to, it would really help those other people who have to deal with minimum tax, to lower it to $75 for everyone else and farmland at 30, and see where it sits. But we would need that information to come back from administration. So it's all up to council if you guys want to look at this, or if you'd rather just accept it for information, leave it for this year. But I highly recommend we start looking back at how this impacts our farm crown lease.
Councillor Dog.
Thank you, Tracy. I truly support whatever you said there. But yeah, I know some farmers have got land along the river, or quite a few, and you know, and they're paying this on a 5-acre parcel or a 6 or 7-acre parcel, and it's more than just one. You know, this river, Stelaclavish River, is a windy river, and I've always been getting complaints about, you know, them having to pay the $100 on a little parcel of land. And I totally agree. You know, this land that's along the river. It's not prime land. You know, you're not going to make any money on it. It's just that it's I don't know. It's just handy for them. So I would really support, you know, I don't know, just leaving it at the 30, or at least lowering it from 100.
Okay, Councillor Chamzik.
I'm always a big fan of information. The more information comes back, educates us all that much better. I too, I've had quite a few complaints about, you know, our smaller parcels of leased land along the river or not. And I wouldn't be opposed for more information for sure.
Okay, and Councillor Cizik.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm particular in my particular case, is I'm caught with that same situation where I ended up with a little parcel of land that was homesteaded 100 years ago, and people walked away from it. So I ended up with it and never did change the title back. And the land that's 1 inch away from the boundary is farmland, which I do farm, and then I just keep on going right through that little, well, the residual. It started out at 7 acres, now it's down to about 3 acres or less, thanks to Ducks Unlimited. But nevertheless, I farm that straight through, and it's still farmland. And I believe that we have assessors who rate land based on its productivity when it comes to farmland. And for me to pay $100 on 3 acres, residual acres, that's adjacent to my 50-acre parcel right there, to me, it is not fair, and I don't see the logic. I have a lot of difficulty accepting and digesting the logic that was used before. So I agree 100% that at the very least, visit farmland and crown leased. If somebody subdivided a parcel just for the benefit of having a recreational parcel, well, then it's assessed at non-productivity. It's assessed at market value, so it'll exceed the $100 tax. So fine and dandy. But I think for farmland, let's kind of look at it in a productive way. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hall.
This is one of those items that keeps coming back every year because we don't like the answer. And I think we need, there's a couple of things that are important to remember. Taxation is not based on the receipt of services and is not connected to them. And to suggest that or even to tie those into the discussion is just misdirection. All parcels have some value. Crown lease parcels typically have value. You can sell them. And I think when we look at things, one of the mistakes in this discussion is that we're looking at it on a very microscopic level, where if you step back and look at the Crown lease in its entirety, not all the individual components of it, and ask yourself whether controlling that land is worth a couple of $100 per year. And in some cases, we're seeing land that's, worth $1 million, in terms of Crown leases being controlled for a few $100s per year. I would disagree that there is a disproportionate burden on agricultural land. Agricultural land, as we all know, is on the regulated rate. The regulated rate is no reflection on market value. And so you have, parcels that might, on a residential customer or client or ratepayer, might pay $900 on a parcel of land where, because it's in this other class, they're going to pay $100. There's an inequity there for sure, but it's not in the direction we're talking about. And I will come back and say again and again, if it's worth owning, if it's worth owning and controlling, it's probably worth $100. We've heard at this table, I think, councillors say that our ag tax rate is too low. That on its own is a different discussion, but I think one of the things we need to look at again is $100 unreasonable given the total volume and amount of land that an individual controls? And I think you'd be hard pressed to find any farm in Athabasca County that would put their hand up and say, my taxes overall are too high on balance. Even some of the largest taxpayers in the county, when I've talked to them, who initially didn't love the imposition of the minimum tax, ultimately have said to me that they don't believe that it's unreasonable. And it just seems to me to make no sense to keep picking at this. It's in place. People are accustomed to it. And it, and again, this is another tax increase that is a concern for me. We just keep finding ways to spend money. And I'm not okay with 0.25% tax raise across the board to fund chopping this down, which is at least what it would amount to, at least that. So
Okay.
I'm okay to leave this alone and accept it for information. Let's move on. And
Okay, thank you, Reeve Hall.
Thank you. I guess I'm just a bit confused in some of the comments that were made, Councillor Hall. You mentioned, is one parcel worth $100? That's a little different than when somebody has 15, 16, 18, 20 parcels that are all these little small parcels that are being impacted into one huge Crown land lease. You also mentioned Crown land, millions of dollars in Crown land. Are you referring to the assessment or the value Because the way I look at it, if there were that highly as in value, we wouldn't even be considering the minimum tax because the assessment would dictate that. So that confuses me. You mentioned that no taxpayer has complained about this. We have letters in our agendas from people who've complained. We had a delegate that people have complained, and knowing going through our October, September, October, and even August for that matter, in our campaigning and going door to door and chatting with people. I know I have in my division a large area of Crown land leases, and that's one of the biggest topics that people bring forward. So I question, when it comes to the big operators, it might not be as difficult for them. But once again, the small operators are the ones who are really impacted hard. And so I challenge a bit of some of the information that you brought forward, trying to understand what it is that you're trying to say, because what I see is a lot different than that. And again, this is a real concern when we look at how many leases, Crown land leases, this impacts. When we have 764 on the roll and 728 are impacted, I don't see where the value of their land is that great that that you mentioned. So this is a concern for me. We have 5,408 rolls for farmland and 966 that are impacted. But when you look at the Crown leases, the majority, if not the huge percentage of them are, and that's where I have a huge concern. So even just adjusting that amount is not going to be that big of a hit on our bottom line.
Councillor Chamzik.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Reeve Holland, for touching on a lot of those things. Just a couple points. Definitely our tax rates we're high, as we've had many inquiries and appeals. Also, it's not that we don't like the answer, it's that we answer to our residents, and our residents have asked us to come back, at least to myself. I can't speak for all of council. Mill rates can also be adjusted later on in the tax rate bylaw, absolutely correct. But I still feel the importance to have that data and information, not only for ourselves, but also for our residents. It also helps them gain clarity as well. And all those parcels definitely do add up, especially in those Crown leases for some of those residents.
And Councillor DeHollick's got his microphone on again. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I lease some land from transportation, and they don't pay nothing for taxes, and I don't pay nothing to lease that land. And, what's the difference? A little piece of land along a river or whatever that's gonna just sit there. I don't know. We are charging a little bit, and I think that we should reduce it to, where it was. It's only fair, and I know various people that are leasing land from transportation or other, or even Alpac that don't pay nothing. So I don't know. That's just my comment.
Okay, so where do we go from here? What are we looking for?
Comment, yeah.
Councillor Stasiak.
I appreciate what everybody is saying here because that's sort of heading in the direction that I am as well. When I make a decision, I would rather not decide based on my opinion of whether somebody can afford something or not. I would base it more so on what's as equitable as we can achieve. And I know we'll never achieve total equity in any of our decisions, but we have to try and strive toward as close as possible.
Okay. Well, I said before in the meeting before that I'd be good at 50. Or I would look at 50. I don't believe we want to go back to where we were, where people were paying $2.30 for a quarter or something like that, because that's, you may as well charge them nothing, or you got to get to own land. You got to pay for it, but taxes are taxes. That's just, there's two things that come in life. So I don't know. I think on the farmland, if you have an acreage on your farmland that you're holding, I think you to get away from the minimum tax, just combine it. You're never thinking of selling it or something like that. But, yeah, that's my thought. Revon, yep.
So what I'm hearing is more information is going to be beneficial to come back to the table. The information that council is looking for, is that to obtain what $75 minimum levy would look like? Or what information is it that council would like to see?
Well, what about we settle limits? Say if it's 10 acres or more, you know, we can charge him a little more. If it's 10 acres or less, you know, you're not going to make any money on that. And a lot of times it's not even feasible to seed anything in there. It's just, I don't know, the proximity to your farm. So I don't know. Maybe we could look at a 10 acres or whatever.
I'm not sure what the MGA specifies for minimum tax and how it's applied.
Yeah, we'd have to research that. I don't know that we can base it on parcel size. I think it has to do with the assessed value.
Yeah, and that's the thing with, when it comes to the assessed value, that frustrates me as well. Our taxes are based on assessment. We remove that when we add in minimum tax. It doesn't matter what you're assessed at this point, we're still going to charge you this. And that frustrates me. It's almost like taking that right away from someone, because there's no point in appealing your assessment if you're going to end up paying this amount anyway. And so that really frustrates me. And now Crown land, can it be amalgamated? Apparently it can be, but it's extremely difficult and very rare that the government will choose to amalgamate all of those little Crown land pieces into one. Trying to do that is an absolute nightmare. And in the research that I've done so far has not been successful, that I know of. So, you know, being able to take farmland and amalgamate different parcels is one thing because it's private, but when it comes to Crown, it's a totally different ball of wax. So, you know, again, we'd have to get more information, I guess, from the MGA aspect as to what we can work within. That's something that we should know. And I would like to see what a $75 minimum tax levy would look like. I've got the 50, I've got the 30. You know, we are trying to, like you say, be very careful budget wise, but we're also experiencing surpluses year after year after year. And that is frustrating people as well. So this is an area of a minimum tax that we really, as far as I'm concerned, should take a closer look at. But yeah, that's where I said, I don't know where everybody else is for that information, what they're looking for. I'm looking for MGA 75 and $75 minimum levy.
Okay. Councillor Shamsic.
I'm good with the, I would like to see the information for 75, and then when it comes to doing certain parcel amounts, I mean, I do realize asking for this is, you know, administrative work, but I mean, I'm not interested in necessarily allocating set parameters on certain acres or whatever. I think you make a very valid point. There's definitely some very valid points here. I know some people may not agree with me. I mean, our jobs are to also provide services, but I don't really look at this as a business and revenue necessarily maker when we are in those surplus situations as well. And I do agree that this is definitely something that I know with throughout my campaigning that definitely our residents want to see back. So giving it that full fair overview and having that time for that information to come back, I think definitely would be respected amongst ourselves and our residents.
Okay, so what we're looking at is come back with another spreadsheet with the 75 minimum and with the understanding of the MGA.
Yeah, the MGA
of
parameters.
Can we charge different numbers for different, what is it?
Classes.
Classes, there we are. Different numbers for different classes. I don't know.
Do we need a motion?
Well, we'd have to make a motion to recommend council or make a motion to bring back this.
Well, being we aren't able to make formal decisions here, I guess we would have to recommend to council to request information from administration. Unless unless I'm, misunderstanding that.
Rob, can we do the 50 and 75?
Yeah, just a
We do
minute,
have 50 here.
Director Dolly.
We can bring back that information. Also, we can, I know you can do separate classes or different classes in the MJ, but I just want to say that these numbers are based on 2025. So probably by the end of February, early March, or end of February, I think it's when it's due, we're going to get our assessment. So
Okay.
those numbers, these particular numbers are going to change. So I'm not sure if council wants to see them based on 25 or based on our new assessment numbers for 100, 75, 50, 30, et cetera. So just putting that out there just in case. Thank you.
Right on.
That's awesome, because I have that written at the top of my page, that 2026, we have the increase to assessment. If I believe in our budget is 3% and 2% on the mill rate in our budget. So I'm thinking that will definitely make some changes to how many roles would be impacted by the levy. So, and if I'm not mistaken, I hope I have those percentages right from our budget. That's what we had planned on in the interim.
So
Was it 3% assessment, 2% mill?
that's what it was. I think that's what it was based on, right? Our budget was based on 3% assessment.
Yeah,
And-
we estimated 3% plus 2%.
Plus 2%.
So yeah, to have that information then for the 2026 would be extremely valuable, I think, because I have a small feeling that some of these roles won't be applicable anymore for the levy.
Okay, so do we just sit back and wait for information to come, or?
I'm not sure, because like I say, we're not allowed to make formal decisions here in a motion, so and if in the February February 26th is our next meeting, we could always pass that motion to recommend to council that we would like to get this information, and then I'm not sure how long it would take administration to bring it back for the first meeting in March. If that's fair with everybody, and then we just follow the proper procedure. I don't think everybody's thrilled to have this come forward, so they might want to oppose that particular motion.
I guess we would need it in March, right? We would need that to change it, or.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Dolly, did you have or Daly, did you have a? Dally.
Mr. Chair, as soon as we get our assessment numbers, which I expect is in February, if not sooner, we can work on the numbers. So you mean we can try for March, but like if the assessment's delayed, we won't have the new numbers. But I mean, if we get the numbers, we can bring it back as soon as we get the numbers and do our calculations. Thank you.
So do you want a motion for February 26th council meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, can we add to that to ask where this is going to get funded from? Like what it does to our tax rate increase? Or how do we plan to pay for this cut? Can it even give us advice on increase taxes by a quarter point or chop something else? But like we're required to run balanced budgets. So of course we come in with surpluses because that's what by law we're required to do. Where are we going to fund this from? We keep coming up with ways to spend money, but I just haven't heard us come up with additional ways to save it or to how we're going to pay for it.
Mr. Chairman, we'll just provide you the impact of what the change would be. Without any further direction, it would be added to the mill rate, to the tax rate.
Right.
Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that our current budget is taking from reserves to cover off the, when we look at our interim budget, we have a little bit of a deficit there that we would have to fill from our reserves. So for example, if we decided, just looking at this document here, if we decided to take the 728 rolls from Crown Lease, that was bringing in a revenue of 43,628, it would drop, if we went to $30, it would drop to a revenue of 3,084. So we would be basically looking for another 40 grand. And again, as I mentioned, those surpluses that we're seeing, they go into our reserves. So giving back to our community, I think, is just as important. So the motion that I would probably put on the floor is to recommend to County Council to direct administration to bring back further information regarding the minimum tax at a $75 minimum as well as the MGA parameters of which minimum tax can be worked within, and to include hopefully the 2026 assessment values.
Well, if they bring the information back, it will be with the 2026.
Yeah.
If they can't bring it back, the information won't come back until we have the assessment numbers, the new assessment numbers. So it might even be a couple of months, or if something doesn't come through at the right time or something, so. Okay, does everybody understand that, that motion? Because hopefully I don't have to reread it. Is to bring back the, more information, or to recommend to council to bring back more information regarding $75 minimum, the MGA parameters with the 2026 assessment levels or
Value.
numbers.
Cool.
Okay, all good? All in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
7-1. Motion carried, so that'll be coming back to us on the 26th. Moving on to new business, fire department level of service policy, page 79. By the way, we're not having lunch. In case anybody was wondering, thank you. So page 79, discussion report. Mr. Chalapai, Manager of Protective Services, Committee of the Whole, so go ahead.
Take a 5-minute break.
Oh, you want a 5-minute break? Okay. Oh,
10
okay.
minutes, and then
10?
if that gives them enough time.
Okay, we'll reconvene here. We're gonna take a break at 12:30.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like we're ready to get back at her. Page 79, Fire Department level of service policy. Mr. Shalapai is going to, I think, give us the rundown on that.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Chairman Mins. I'm happy to bring this policy forward to council. As you know, I'll kind of recap the RFD here. So back in 2023, we had our fire services review. And one of the glaring pieces of that was a lack of a defined level of service for our fire services. That means really we could be getting into all sorts of weird and wonderful things. We could have people doing dive rescue. We could, be requesting airport crash trucks. We could be asking for anything because, the sky was the limit. And in terms of governance, that was not a good move. So as a stopgap measure in 2023, when we did our fire services bylaw update, we did bring in our first level of service guidance. Now, in the bylaw, the level of service appendix was basically a set of guardrails for the fire services. Kind of, here's the minimum that we're going to provide, here's the maximum, try and stay in a lane of traffic without, wandering through someone's field. So we passed that, which was great. It gave us some direction to start moving forward. But as we've continued moving forward, being as it's in a bylaw, it is fairly vague, it's fairly open. As we've been working on things like our 30-year capital plan, even some strategic planning on the fire services side, it being so open-ended, it didn't really give us enough guidance to start nailing things down in terms of, okay, what trucks are more priority, which training is more important. And something we have to do on the fire service side moving forward is really get into a competency profile. So if we're delivering these services under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, we have to make sure that the folks providing the service are competent to do so. That's law. With it being very vague, it's really hard to nail down what the minimum competence is. What's the minimum level of training? So what we have done here today is, and we've brought to you for review, is the draft of a level of service policy. So the level of service policy is meant to take what we've done in the fire services bylaw and provide just a little bit more detail, just a little bit more governance, the piece that we need to really kind of nail down what we're doing today. And that's the one thing I should mention. The level of service that I present here today is what we're doing. It's nothing new. We're not buying a rocket ship here. We're just trying to really nail down what we want to do. That being said, should council wish to go up or down, we talk a lot about budget and cost. If we want to add stuff, we can absolutely add stuff. It just comes with a cost. And vice versa, if we do cut level of service, there's the potential for some cost savings. And I've said this a few times now, we have a huge capital liability in the fire service. We have between $27 and $30 million in capital that we have to look at getting into a good replacement schedule, trying to keep things turn over every 20, 25 years. So there's a bit of a barrier there that we have to address. And this is kind of the first piece in really letting us get a cleaned up level of service, nail it down. Then we can come back and really start looking at brass tacks in terms of capital planning.
Okay, that's awesome. We have the budget right now to do this. If we pass this policy next meeting or something like that, the budget's there.
Chairman Mins, correct. This is based off of the current level of service, so what we've currently been budgeting for. There might be some minor adjustments to the capital long-term plan, but it would not be this year flipping the budget situation. It might be we're going to replace truck A instead of truck B next year. Take scenario.
Okay, right on. Questions? Come to the Jamzik.
Having the opportunity to review the review since 2023. I'd like to compliment, first of all, of the great strides that have been made. That's amazing feat of work. We knew that when it was presented that it was going to be a long process in the hall to be able to meet all those recommendations, but congratulations on getting a lot of those major objections done. I only have a very few questions. On page 87, under support, when we talk about the hubs and stuff, just making sure that we've adequately budgeted towards those hubs for extractors and refilling SCBA machines.
Through the chair to Councillor Chamzak, yes, we have included that in our capital planning as of today, in the 30-year capital draft that we've provided to council previously. It did include that equipment.
Wonderful. And the only other question I have is on page 88, 6.4.3. And while I realize this is very procedural, how often are procedures reviewed?
Through the chair to Councillor Chamzig, right now we're on about a 3-year review cycle, and we're currently going through all our standard operating guidelines to go a little bit down a rabbit hole to fully go through all of our SOGs. We need to get the competency profiles nailed down so that we know where our hazard assessments need to be and what policies we require, because we have some interesting policies relating to activities that we don't even provide. So a good, again, level of service helps us really streamline and get that nailed down so that we're reviewing what's important and maybe tightening up that review cycle.
Well, as I can see, that's a lot of hard work definitely going into it. Thank you very much.
Perfect. And any other questions regarding the policy? Reeve Holland.
Thank you very much. The amount of work that has gone into this is huge, and I can't say thank you enough. This enhances our fire program, our fire departments and our program here immensely. And like you mentioned earlier, the strides that have been made are phenomenal. So thank you very much for doing all of that work. I just have a quick question on page 82 for the purpose. It says that the level of service policy is to provide greater clarity to the levels of service as established in the bylaw and to establish a process for the review and revision of the levels of service as required. What would required look like to you, or should we be mentioning more of an annually or by, every 2 years, every 3 years, as you mentioned with your procedures, that kind of thing?
Through the chair to Reeve Holland. So as required gives us the flexibility if, we set a 3-year cycle and then we encounter a scenario where, let's say we all of a sudden set up a solar farm in the county, which is a target hazard, which change level of service would require further training equipment potentially, or a windmill. Like there's all kinds of different things that could spur a more expedient review. That being said, we could look at language that encompasses, as required, but at least X amount to cover off that as well.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you. The other item I had highlighted on page 85, it's under the wildland structural protection at the last bullet point. I just didn't quite understand the wording, so just looking for clarity. Specialized training shall be required for those members providing this service. The operating providing thing kind of caught me.
Through the chair to Reeve Holland, you caught a great spelling error. It should be we should be taking out operating as have been providing the service, providing the wildland structural protection services.
Okay.
So the province does have specific training for folks that are acting in the WUI capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. And I think other than that, yep, I wrote down those notes. No, again, thank you very much. This is an amazing amount of work that's been done here to really push us forward into what the goal is and the end goal is. And I think you're exceeding the time frame that what that end goal was looking like. So I really appreciate the work that you've done here, and thank you very much.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Seeing none, so do we want to send this to county council to be
Approved?
approved? There we are. Who wants to make that motion?
I'll take it.
Okay. Reeve Holland has made a motion to move forward this policy to the next county council meeting. Be approved.
Recommend to council? You
Yeah,
mentioned?
recommend it to county council to be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion was carried unanimously, so that was 8-0, and thank you very much for that. And it looks like there's really nothing else here, so we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 12:40. Thank you very much for coming in.